Hello, welcome to Microlocity. Today's video we're going to start building the diorama for the Diorama challenge. So right there is going to be a burger joint, like a car hop type place, and to the right of that is going to be a roadside attraction, and that sketch right there is the outline of the gas station I'm going to build. And this is a Route 66 diorama, so everything's going to be kind of like a retro look. And this is a scaled roller that I made just out of a piece of wood. I used a Hot Wheels pickup truck. I figured the bed was probably 6 foot, and I just made some marks on there, and I'm going to use that to scale this diorama. And you'll see that red truck on the diorama probably a lot of the time. I'm just going to use that to help me gauge the scale of everything along with the roller. And right here is the outside, the casing of the toaster oven that I took apart in the last video, and this is the black part is the face frame. So the black part is going to be the roof of the burger joint, and the stainless, what I'm marking right now, is going to be the walls. So I'm marking the height of the walls right now, and I'm going to take it outside and cut it with a grinder. I wanted to use the round radius as my corners, so that's why I end up using this frame, because I already had the radius on it, and you'll see what I mean in a minute. But right now I'm just double checking my mark, and I'm going to transfer another mark to the other side. And this is pretty thick steel, so the building will be pretty rigid when it's finished. So I'm just going to cut it with a grinder. As you can see, I don't have a guard on my grinder, but I am using a face shield. And there goes my piece flying off the table. So now I am going to draw a line on the marks that I already made, and then I'm going to square down the sides, and I'm also going to cut this with the grinder. I don't use a guard on the grinder because it makes it hard to see what you're cutting, so I just usually use a face shield for the protection. And I have thoughts of cutting windows and doors with a smaller grinder. I'm not sure if I'm going to do that yet. I was going to do a little test piece and see how easy it is to cut that out. So right now I'm marking the little off center because I have to two-piece the front wall so I can get my radius on both corners. So I marked it so they overlap in the front a little bit, and then I can glue them together. And then I'm going to kind of test fit it there, and I'm going to mark the back of my building and square that and get those cut. So now I will have my front wall and my two side walls completed. So that's kind of what it's going to look like right there. So now I'm filing all the edges. Everywhere I cut with the grinder left a lot of burrs on there, so I'm just rounding everything over, getting rid of all the sharp corners so I don't cut myself. So it kind of took a little while to do all that. And so once I got everything filed down to my liking, I did a little test fit, and I'm happy with how it turned out. So now I am tracing the base, because I'm going to take this all apart, and then I'm going to use some hot glue and glue this down to the my plywood base. And the hot glue holds pretty well. and it dries quick, so that's why I used it. Now I test fit the top. Oh, right there I'm gluing the center seam. I test fit the top and it fits pretty snug, but I'm going to glue that also just to hold it in place. And it's kind of hard to tell, but the front part of that is sloped down towards the front, and then the top part is flat of the roof. So right now I measured the back, and I'm just going to make the back wall out of a piece of cardboard. I figured you're not really going to see it, and I just wanted it in there to add a little bit of strength to the side walls. So I cut it to length, and I'm going to hold it in there and mark the top, and then draw a line and get that cut. And then I'm just going to use the hot glue again and glue that in place. So I got the idea of using the lid of an egg carton to cover the back part of the roof. I'm going to use that. I figured my idea was it looked like vents on a restaurant roof for the fans, the hood fans. And I have to cut the last part off and then reattach it because I wanted the end to be finished. So you see there I kind of cut the piece off, and then I'm going to glue the end piece back on. That way my ends look finished, and then I'm going to smooth that part out and probably paint that whole piece black and add some weathered rust look to it. But I kind of figure it looked like a top of a restaurant. And for the front part, I was trying to come up with an idea to make it look old. So I'm just going to use the piece of cardboard again. And I'm going to rip the kind of the face of the cardboard off to expose a little bit of the corrugated looking stuff. And I'm leaving a good part of the paper on. I'm going to cover that with other cardboard to look like wood shakes. And I want it to look like it was corrugated metal, and at some point somebody shingled it with old wood shakes. So that's the look it's going to have when it's all painted. And then I'm just going to hot glue all that stuff back on. And this is like I said, a car hop type burger joint. So out in the front I'm going to make a roof, and you'll see in a second, but it's out of a clear piece of like a plastic lid. And I cut it in half because it was too wide, and I want it to be clear because I don't want to cast too much of a shadow underneath of it. So in the next video we will continue building the burger joint, get the framing for that roof finished, and add a little bit of detail and figure out what I'm going to do with the windows. So alright, thank you for watching, and I'll see you in the next video.